The rain fell hard on the cobblestones outside Windsor Castle. It was September 8th, 2022. Inside the castle walls, something was ending. Something that had lasted 70 years. Sergeant James Whitmore stood at attention in the long walk corridor. His red uniform was perfect. His boots shined like mirrors. But his hands were shaking. He had been a Queen's Guard for 12 years. He knew every protocol, every rule, every tradition. But tonight he had been called to a room he had never entered before. A room most guards would never see. The door was oak, heavy, old. A brass plate read simply, "Private Office." Inside, 3 men waited. One wore the uniform of a senior royal aide. The others were dressed in dark suits. Their faces were serious, tired. One of them had been crying. "Sergeant Whitmore," the aide said quietly. "Please sit." Guards never sat during duty, but this was different. "What you are about to hear," the aide continued, "is known to only a handful of people in the world. It is a duty that has been carried out in secret for over 300 years. Tonight, that duty passes to you." James felt his throat tighten. Outside, he could hear the rain. Inside, the room was silent except for the ticking of an ancient clock. The aide slid a wooden box across the table. It was small, plain, unremarkable. But when James looked at it, he felt a chill run down his spine. This, the aide said, contained something that belonged to Her Majesty. Something personal, something sacred. James stared at the box. He did not touch it. Every monarch, the aide explained, leaves behind a final wish. A private instruction. Something that cannot be written in any will or document. Something that must be protected until the next true heir takes the throne. James blinked. The next heir. But, "Prince William, no!" one of the suited men interrupted. His voice was firm. "Not Prince William. The instruction is clear. It must wait for Prince George." The boy. The future king. James felt the weight of those words settle on his shoulders like stones. "That could be decades," he whispered. "Yes," the aide said. "Decades. And during all that time, this box must be guarded, hidden, protected by you." James looked at the 3 men. Their eyes were steady. This was real. "Why me?" he asked. The aide smiled sadly. "Because Her Majesty chose you. 3 months ago, she wrote your name herself." James felt his breath catch. The Queen had known. She had planned this. "What's inside?" he asked. The aide shook his head. "You will never know. No one will. Not until Prince George opens it on the day of his coronation. Your duty is simple, Sergeant. Guard it. Keep it secret. And when the time comes, deliver it to the Boy King." The aide stood. The meeting was ending. "One more thing," the suited man said. "You cannot tell anyone. Not your family. Not your friends. Not even other guards. If you speak of this, the duty ends. The box disappears. And the Queen's final wish dies with it." James stood slowly. He reached for the box. It was heavier than it looked. Outside, the rain had stopped. The castle was quiet. Somewhere in the halls, history was being written. But here, in this small room, a secret had just been born. A secret that would have to live in the shadows for years, maybe decades. And James Whitmore was now its keeper. But before you hear what happens next, if you're loving this story, hit that subscribe button so you never miss these incredible true tales. Now, back to James and his impossible duty. He walked out of the room, holding the box close to his chest. His heart pounded. His mind raced. What could be inside? And why did it have to wait for a child who was only 9 years old? The answers would come, but not tonight. James had only one job: keep the secret and survive the weight of it. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The first week was the hardest. James kept the box in his quarters. It sat on his desk, small, silent, impossible to ignore. He barely slept. Every sound made him jump. Every footstep in the hallway made his heart race. What if someone broke in? What if there was a fire? What if he failed before he even began? On the third night, he woke up in a cold sweat. He had dreamed the box was empty, that he opened it and found nothing inside, that the Queen's final wish had vanished into air. He turned on the light. The box was still there, untouched. Waiting, James got out of bed. He walked to the desk. He picked up the box and held it close to his ear. Nothing. No sound. No rattle. Just wait. Just silence. What could possibly be inside? A letter? A photograph? A piece of jewelry? Or something else? Something he could never imagine. He set the box down carefully. He had to stop thinking about it. The curiosity was eating him alive. But that was the test, wasn't it? The real duty wasn't just protecting the box. It was protecting himself from his own mind. The days turned into weeks. James returned to his regular duties. Standing guard. Marching in formation. Performing ceremonies. Everything looked normal on the outside, but inside, he was different. Changed. He carried the secret like a second heartbeat. Constant, invisible. Heavy, his wife. Emma noticed something was wrong. "You're quiet," she said. "One evening over dinner? More than usual." James forced a smile. "Just tired. Long shifts." Emma studied his face. She knew him too well. "It's more than that. You seem distant. Like your mind is somewhere else," he wanted to tell her. God, he wanted to tell her everything, but he couldn't. The words of the aide echoed in his head. "If you speak of this, the duty ends." So he lied. "I'm fine, love, really. Just adjusting to some new responsibilities." Emma didn't push, but he saw the worry in her eyes. The doubt, it hurt more than he expected. Lying to her, building a wall between them. But what choice did he have? The secret was bigger than him. Bigger than them, it belonged to history. 2 months after that first night, James received a phone call. Private number. Unknown. He answered carefully. "Hello? Sergeant Whitmore." The voice was familiar. "One of the suited men from the meeting? We need to meet. Tomorrow. Same room." 10 p.m., the line went dead. James felt his stomach drop. What now? Had he done something wrong? Had someone found out? The next night, he walked through the castle corridors with his heart in his throat. The oak door was waiting for him. The same brass plate, the same heavy silence inside. Only one man sat at the table. The senior royal aide. He looked older now. "More tired? Sit, James," he said softly. James sat. He waited. "There's been a complication," the aide said. "Nothing you've done wrong, but something we didn't anticipate." James leaned forward. "What kind of complication?" The aide sighed. "The press. They've been digging, asking questions about the Queen's final days, about her private wishes. Someone leaked a rumor. Nothing specific, but enough to make people curious." James felt ice in his veins. "Do they know about the box?" "No, not yet. But they're looking. And if they keep looking, they might find you." "What do I do?" James asked. The aide reached into his jacket. He pulled out a key. Small, silver, old. "You move it," he said. "Tonight, there's a location. A safe place, known only to the crown. You'll take the box there. And you'll visit it once a month. To check on it. To make sure it's secure," he slid a piece of paper across the table. An address. Written in elegant handwriting. James stared at it. "Where is this?" "A cottage," the aide said. "In the Scottish Highlands. Owned by a trust that's been in place since 1701. No one lives there. No one goes there. Except the keeper of the box." James folded the paper carefully. "When do I leave?" "Now," the aide said. "There's a car waiting. You'll drive through the night. No stops, no calls. When you arrive, you'll hide the box in the location we've prepared. Then you'll return here as if nothing happened." The aide stood. He placed a hand on James's shoulder. "This is the hardest part, James. The loneliness. The the silence, but you were chosen for a reason. Her Majesty saw something in you: strength, loyalty, trust. James felt tears prick his eyes. He blinked them away. "I won't let her down," he said. "I know," the aide replied. An hour later, James was in a black sedan. The box sat on the passenger seat beside him. The roads were empty. The night was dark. He drove north. Away from London, away from everything familiar. The headlights cut through the darkness. The engine hummed, and James Whitmore disappeared into the night, carrying a secret that could change everything or destroy him completely. Asterisk, the cottage appeared. Just before dawn, it sat alone on a hillside. Stone walls, slate roof, surrounded by heather and mist. No other buildings in sight. No roads except the narrow dirt path James had followed for the last hour. He parked the car. The silence was absolute. No birds, no wind, just the sound of his own breathing. James stepped out. The air was cold, clean. He could see his breath. The cottage door was unlocked, just as the aide had said it would be. Inside, everything was simple. One room, a fireplace, a table, a single chair, and in the corner, partially hidden behind a loose stone in the wall, a small iron safe. James knelt down. He used the silver key. The safe opened with a soft click. Inside was empty, waiting. He placed the wooden box inside carefully, like setting down a sleeping child. Then he closed the safe, locked it, replaced the stone. Done. The box was hidden, safe, protected. But as James stood up, something unexpected happened. He felt relief, and then, immediately after, a crushing sense of loss. The box had been with him every day for 2 months. He had guarded it, worried about it, dreamed about it. And now it was gone, out of his hands, out of his life, except it wasn't, not really. He would come back, once a month, every month, for years, maybe decades. This cottage would become a second home, a secret pilgrimage, a duty that would shape the rest of his life. James locked the cottage door. He walked back to the car. The sun was rising now, painting the hills in gold and purple. It was beautiful, and it was lonely. The drive back to London took 8 hours. James barely noticed. His mind was somewhere else, somewhere between duty and doubt, between honor and fear. When he finally arrived home, Emma was waiting. "Where were you?" she asked. Her voice was tight, controlled. "You didn't call. You didn't text. I thought something happened." James set down his bag. "I'm sorry. It was work. Last minute, I couldn't say anything. Couldn't." Emma stepped closer. Or wouldn't. He looked at her. Really looked at her. She was hurt, scared, angry, all at once. "I can't explain," he said quietly. "I wish I could. But I can't." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "That's not good enough, James. We're married. We're supposed to share everything. No secrets." "I know," he whispered. "I know." But he couldn't say more. He couldn't break the promise. Even for her. Emma turned away. "I don't know who you are anymore." Those words hit him like a punch to the chest. She walked out of the room. James stood alone in the hallway. The weight of the secret pressed down on him, heavier than ever. That night, he lay in bed beside Emma. She faced the wall. He could tell she was awake, but neither of them spoke. The distance between them was only inches, but it felt like miles, and it was only going to get worse. The months passed. James made his trips to Scotland, once every 4 weeks, like clockwork. He told Emma they were training exercises, special assignments. She stopped asking questions. She stopped believing him too. The lies were building a wall between them, brick by brick, word by word. But James had no choice. The duty came first. It had to. One cold November night, almost a year after that first meeting, James drove to the cottage again. The roads were icy. The wind was fierce. But he didn't miss a visit. He never missed. He unlocked the safe, checked the box. Everything was fine, exactly as he'd left it. But as he closed the safe, he heard something. Footsteps. Outside the cottage, James froze. His hand went to his side, but he wasn't armed. Guards didn't carry weapons off duty. The footsteps stopped, right outside the door. Then a knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. James's heart hammered. Who could possibly know about this place? Had someone followed him? Had the secret been discovered? He moved to the door. His hand on the handle, he took a breath. Then he opened it. Standing in the darkness was a woman, older, maybe 70. She wore a thick coat and a wool hat. Her face was kind, but her eyes were sharp. "Sergeant Whitmore," she said calmly. "We need to talk." "Who are you?" The woman smiled. "My name is Margaret. I was Her Majesty's private secretary. For 42 years. James felt his legs go weak. "How did you find me?" "I didn't find you," Margaret said. "I've always known. I'm the one who wrote the instructions. I'm the one who chose this cottage." She stepped inside without waiting for permission. James closed the door behind her. Margaret looked around the small room, nodded approvingly. Then she turned to James. "You're doing well," she said. "Better than most would. But I came here to warn you." "Warn me?" James asked. "About what?" Margaret's expression darkened. "There are people who want what's in that box. Powerful people. They don't know exactly what it is, but they know it exists. And they're getting closer." James felt cold. "What do I do?" "You keep doing what you're doing," Margaret said. "You stay quiet. You stay careful. And you trust no one. Not even the people who gave you this duty." "Why not?" James asked. Margaret stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Because not everyone in the palace wants Prince George to open that box. Some of them want it buried forever." Before James could respond, Margaret walked to the door. She paused, looked back. "One more thing, Sergeant. The box, don't ever try to open it. No matter how curious you get, no matter how desperate. There's a mechanism inside. If anyone tries to force it open before the right moment, everything inside will be destroyed." Swallowed hard. "What's inside?" Margaret smiled sadly. "The truth. The kind that changes kingdoms." Then she was gone. Disappeared into the night. And James was left standing alone in the cottage. His mind spinning. His world tilting. The secret wasn't just a duty anymore. It was a target. And he was standing right in the middle of it. James didn't sleep that night. He drove back to London, with Margaret's words echoing in his head. Not everyone wants Prince George to open that box. What did that mean? Who would want to stop it, and why? The next morning, James reported for duty at Windsor Castle. Everything seemed normal. Guards marching, tourists taking photos. The routine unchanged, but James saw things differently now. Every glance felt suspicious. Every conversation felt coded. Who could he trust? Who was watching him? At noon, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Library, 3rd floor." Now, James felt his pulse quicken. He looked around. No one was paying attention to him, but someone was watching. Someone always was. He made his way to the castle library, a place he rarely visited. The 3rd floor was old, dusty, filled with books no one read anymore. He climbed the narrow stairs. The floorboards creaked under his boots. At the top, sitting in a leather chair by the window, was the senior royal aide, the same man who had given him the box a year ago. But he looked different now, thinner, pale, worried, the aide said. James sat across from him. "What's going on?" The aide glanced at the door, making sure they were alone. Then he leaned forward. "Margaret came to see you," he said. It wasn't a question. James nodded slowly. "Last night, at the cottage," the aide closed his eyes. "I was afraid of that." "Is what she said true?" James asked. "Are there people trying to stop this?" The aide was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. Margaret was loyal to the Queen, completely, but she doesn't understand the full picture. She thinks this is about protecting tradition, protecting the monarchy, isn't it? James asked. The aide said, it's about protecting the country. What's in that box? It's not just personal, it's political. It's dangerous. James felt his stomach twist. What do you mean? The aide stood up. He walked to the window, looked out over the castle grounds. The Queen made a decision, he said quietly. 60 years ago. A decision that changed everything. She buried it. Hoped it would never matter. But she also knew. Someday, someone would need to know the truth. He turned back to James. That's what's in the box. The truth. And if it comes out the wrong way, at the wrong time, it could tear the monarchy apart. James felt like the floor was falling away beneath him. Then why give it to Prince George? Asterisk, because he's young, the aide said. Because by the time he takes the throne, the world will be different. The monarchy will be different. Maybe the truth won't matter anymore. Or maybe it will. But it has to be his choice, not ours. James stood up. You're telling me I'm protecting something that could destroy everything? Yes, the aide said simply. That's exactly what you're doing. And that's why some people want it destroyed. Now, before it ever reaches George. James felt dizzy. Sick. Who? Who wants it gone? The aide shook his head. I can't tell you that. The less you know, the safer you are. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep the box hidden. Keep your mouth shut. And trust no one. He walked toward the door, then stopped. One more thing, James. If anything happens to me, if I disappear, or if something seems wrong, you take that box and you run. You hear me? You take it somewhere even I don't know about, and you guard it with your life. Before James could respond, the aide was gone, and James was left standing in the dusty library alone, with a secret that was bigger and darker than he ever imagined. The weeks that followed were tense. James went through the motions, duty, guard shifts, ceremonies, but he was always watching, always listening. Emma had stopped speaking to him almost entirely. She moved into the guest room, started talking about separation. James wanted to fight for her, to explain, but he couldn't. The secret was destroying his marriage, and there was nothing he could do. One night in December, James made his monthly trip to Scotland. The weather was brutal, snow and ice. The roads were dangerous, but he had to check the box. He always checked. He arrived at the cottage just after midnight. The place was freezing, dark. He lit a small fire, just enough to take the edge off the cold. He opened the safe, checked the box. Everything was fine, but as he stood up, he noticed something. A piece of paper, tucked under the safe. It hadn't been there before. James picked it up carefully, unfolded it. The handwriting was shaky, hurried, but he recognized it immediately. It was from the aide. James, if you're reading this, I'm gone. They found out I was helping you. They're coming for the box. You need to move it again. Somewhere no one knows. Not me, not Margaret. No one. Trust your instincts. And remember, the box must reach George. No matter what. No matter the cost. James's hands shook. He read the note again. And again. Gone. The aide was gone. He stuffed the note into his pocket, grabbed the box from the safe, and ran outside. The snow was falling harder now. The wind howled. James looked around wildly. Were they here? Were they watching? He threw the box into the car, jumped in, started the engine. He didn't know where he was going. He just drove south, east, away from Scotland, away from everything. Hours passed. The roads blurred together. The box sat on the seat beside him, silent, heavy, deadly. Finally, as the sun began to rise, James pulled over. He was somewhere in northern England, a small town he'd never heard of. He sat in the car, breathing hard, thinking. He couldn't keep the box with him. It was too dangerous. But he couldn't hide it in another cottage. They'd find it. Whoever they were, he needed something different. Something unexpected. And then it hit him. He knew exactly where to hide it. A place no one would ever think to look. A place that had been waiting for him all along. James started the car. He had a plan now. And he had to move fast. Because the hunters were getting closer. And the secret was running out of time. Asterisk, asterisk, the graveyard was quiet when James arrived. It was the same cemetery where his father had been buried. 20 years ago, a small place on the outskirts of Kent. Peaceful, forgotten by most of the world. James parked the car. The sun was fully up now. Morning light streamed through the bare trees. He took the box, walked through the rows of headstones. His boots crunched on the frozen grass. His father's grave was in the back corner. Simple stone. Simple words. David Whitmore. Beloved father. 1952 to 2003. James knelt down. Set the box on the ground beside him. I need your help, Dad, he whispered. One last time, he looked around. The graveyard was empty. No one came here anymore. That's what made it perfect. James began to dig. Not in the grave itself. That would be sacrilege. But beside it, in the narrow space between his father's headstone and the cemetery wall, the ground was hard, frozen, but James was strong. And desperate, he dug for over an hour. Deep enough that no casual visitor would notice. Deep enough to keep the box safe. When the hole was ready, James wrapped the box in a waterproof cloth. He'd bought it at a gas station on the way. Then he placed it carefully into the ground. He covered it, smoothed the dirt, laid dead leaves over the top, made it look natural, untouched. When he was done, he sat back on his heels, breathing hard, hands dirty, heart pounding. The box was hidden. In the last place anyone would look, next to the man who had taught him everything about duty, about loyalty, about sacrifice. Keep it safe, Dad, James whispered, until I come back. Stood up, brushed off his knees, and walked back to the car for the first time in days. He felt something close to peace, but it didn't last long. When James returned to London, everything had changed. The senior royal aide was officially reported missing. The palace released a brief statement. Personal reasons. No further comment. But James knew better. The aide hadn't left. He'd been silenced. And now James was alone. Completely alone. No one to turn to. No one to trust. He thought about Margaret. About contacting her. But her warning echoed in his mind. Trust no one. So he stayed quiet. Kept his head down. Did his job, but he knew they were watching, waiting, looking for the box. 2 weeks later, men came to his house. They wore suits. Showed identification. Government officials. I-5, they said. Routine security check. Nothing to worry about. But James saw the way they looked around. The way they opened drawers. Moved furniture. Searched. They were looking for the box. Emma watched from the kitchen doorway, confused, frightened. What's going on? She asked after they left. James couldn't answer. He just shook his head. That night, Emma packed a bag. I can't do this anymore, James. Whatever you're involved in, I can't be part of it. James felt his heart break. Emma, please, no, she said firmly. I love you. I always will, but I don't know you anymore, and I can't live like this. She walked out the door, James, stood alone in the empty house, silent, shattered. The secret had cost him everything, his marriage, his peace, his life. But he couldn't stop now. He'd made a promise. To the Queen, to the crown, to history. He would keep the box safe, no matter what, even if it destroyed him. Months turned into a year. Then 2 years, James visited the graveyard once a month. Always alone. Always careful. He checked the box. Made sure it was still there. Still hidden. Still safe. the world moved on. Prince William became more prominent in royal duties. Prince George grew older, taller, closer to the throne, but still young. Still years away from his coronation, and James kept waiting, kept watching, kept guarding. He lived like a ghost, going through the motions. No friends, no family. Just the duty. Emma had filed for divorce. He didn't fight it. How could he? He couldn't explain, couldn't defend himself. She remarried eventually, to someone who could give her a normal life, someone without secrets. James was happy for her. Truly, she deserved better. He deserved nothing. One cold morning in March, 3 years after he'd first received the box, James got a phone call, private number, unknown. He answered carefully. Hello? Sergeant Whitmore. This is Buckingham Palace. You're needed immediately. Royal emergency. James's blood ran cold. What kind of emergency? Prince George. There's been an incident. You need to come now. The line went dead. James grabbed his coat, his keys, and ran. His mind raced during the drive to London. What had happened? Was George hurt? Was he in danger? And more importantly, did this mean the time had come? Was it finally time to deliver the box? He arrived at the palace gates. Guards waved him through. He was escorted inside, down familiar corridors, but to an unfamiliar room. Inside, a woman waited. Not Margaret, not the aide. Someone new. She was young, maybe 30, dressed in an elegant suit. Her expression was serious. Sergeant Whitmore, she said. Thank you for coming. Please sit. His heart hammered. Prince George is fine, she said quickly. There's no emergency. I apologize for the deception, but we needed to get you here. Without raising suspicion, James exhaled. Why? What's going on? The woman folded her hands. My name is Carolyn. I'm part of a special committee dedicated to protecting certain royal secrets. We know about the box, Sergeant. We've always known. James felt ice in his veins. Are you here to take it? No, Carolyn said. We're here to help you. The people who wanted the box destroyed, they've been dealt with. Quietly, they won't bother you again. James stared. How do I know you're telling the truth? Caroline reached into her bag. She pulled out a photograph, slid it across the table. It was the senior royal aide, smiling, healthy, alive, safe, Caroline said. In protective custody, he'll stay there until this is over. Until Prince George is crowned? James felt tears prick his eyes. The aide was alive. He'd survived. What do you need from me? James asked. Caroline said. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep the box hidden. Keep it safe. And when the time comes, when Prince George is ready, we'll contact you. She stood. The meeting was ending. One more thing, Sergeant. You've sacrificed a lot for this duty, more than most would. When it's over, when the box is delivered, you'll be compensated, honored, recognized. I don't want recognition. I just want to finish what I started. Carolyn smiled. That's why you were chosen. She left and James walked out of the palace into the sunlight. The burden was still his. The secret still heavy, but now he knew. He wasn't alone, and the end was coming. Someday soon, Prince George would be king, and the truth would finally be free. Asterisk, asterisk, 12 years passed. 12 long years of waiting, of guarding, of silence. James Whitmore was 54 now. His hair had gone gray. His hands weren't as steady as they used to be. He'd retired from the Queen's Guard, but the duty never ended. Once a month, every month, he visited the graveyard, checked on the box, made sure it was still there, still safe. The world had changed around him. Technology, politics, culture, everything moved forward. But James stayed frozen in time, locked in that one moment. That one promise. He lived alone in a small flat in Kent, near the cemetery. near his father's grave, near the secret. Some nights he wondered if he'd imagined it all. The meeting, the box, the duty. It felt like a dream, like something that happened to someone else. But then he'd visit the grave, dig carefully in the frozen ground, feel the weight of the box in his hands, and he'd know it was real. All of it, on a bright morning in May. James's phone rang. He almost didn't recognize the sound. He rarely got calls anymore. Unknown number, he answered. Hello? Sergeant Whitmore. This is Carolyn. Do you remember me? James sat up straight. His heart began to race. Yes, I remember. It's time, she said simply. Prince George has been crowned. The ceremony is in 3 days. We need the box. James felt the words hit him like electricity. After all these years, after all the waiting, it was finally time. Where? He asked. When? Tomorrow night, midnight, the same library where you first met the aide. 3rd floor. Bring the box. Come alone. The line went dead. James sat in silence for a long moment, processing, feeling. This was it. The end of the duty. The end of the secret. He should have felt relief, joy, freedom, but instead, he felt loss. Deep, aching loss. This duty had defined him for over a decade. It had cost him his marriage, his friendships, his peace, but it had also given him purpose, meaning, a connection to something greater than himself. And now it was ending. That night, James drove to the cemetery. One last time, he parked the car, walked through the familiar rows of headstones, knelt at his father's grave. It's time, Dad, he whispered. I'm bringing it back. He dug carefully. His hands remembered the motion, the exact spot. The box was there, wrapped in the same waterproof cloth, untouched, unchanged. James pulled it out, held it in his hands. After 12 years, it felt both heavier and lighter than he remembered. He brushed off the dirt, unwrapped the cloth. The wooden surface was still smooth, still perfect. He placed his hand on top of it. One last moment, one last connection. Whatever you are, he said quietly to the box, I hope you were worth it. Then he wrapped it again, filled in the hole, smoothed the ground, erased all evidence that anything had ever been buried there. He stood at his father's grave. Thank you, he said, for keeping it safe, for keeping me company. And he walked back to the car, the box under his arm. His duty almost complete. The next night, James arrived at Windsor Castle at 11:30. He wore his old uniform. It still fit. Mostly, he walked through the corridors. Guards nodded to him, recognized him, but didn't ask questions. The library was quiet, dark, just like before. James climbed to the 3rd floor. The floorboards creaked the same way they had 12 years ago. At the top, 3 people were waiting. Caroline, older now, but still composed, still serious. The senior royal aide, he looked fragile, thin but alive. His eyes met James's. He nodded. A silent thank you, and a young man, tall, 21 years old, sandy hair, kind eyes. Prince George. The future king? James stopped. His breath caught. George stepped forward, extended his hand. Sergeant Whitmore, thank you for coming. James shook his hand. His voice came out rough. Your Highness? Please, George said gently. Just George is fine. Caroline moved forward. The box, Sergeant? James reached into his bag, pulled out the wooden box, held it for a moment. Then he handed it to Prince George. George took it carefully, reverently. He looked down at it, his expression unreadable. Do you know what's inside? George asked. James shook his head. No, sir. I never looked. I never tried. George smiled. That must have been hard. The curiosity, it was James admitted. But it wasn't my secret to know. George nodded. He walked to the table, set the box down. The others gathered around. Should I open it now? George asked. Looking at Carolyn, at the aide, Caroline hesitated. "That's your choice, Your Highness. It was left for you. The timing is yours." George looked at James. "What do you think, Sergeant? You've carried this burden for how long?" 12 years, James said. 12 years, George repeated softly. "You've earned the right to know, if you want to stay." James felt emotion well up in his throat. He wanted to stay. God, he wanted to know. But he shook his head. "This is your moment, sir. Not mine. I was just the keeper. You're the king." George studied him, then nodded. "You're a good man, Sergeant Whitmore. History will remember what you've done, even if it can never be told." James saluted. "One last time." "It was an honor, Your Highness." Turned to leave, but at the top of the stairs he paused, looked back. George was opening the box, carefully, slowly. James couldn't see inside, but he saw George's face, the way his expression changed, surprise, understanding, and then peace. Whatever was inside, it was important. It was real. And James had done his job. He walked down the stairs, out of the library, out of the castle. The night air was cool, clean. James took a deep breath. For the first time in 12 years, he felt light, free. The burden was gone. The secret was no longer his. He walked to his car, started the engine, and drove home. That night, James slept deeply, without dreams, without worry. The next morning, he received a letter, hand-delivered, royal seal. Inside was a note from Prince George. "Sergeant Whitmore, what was in the box was a letter. From my great-grandmother, a confession, an apology, and a hope. She made a mistake many years ago, one that haunted her. But she also believed that the future could heal what the past had broken. You guarded that hope for 12 years. You sacrificed everything to protect it. And now, because of you, I know the truth. And I can move forward with wisdom instead of ignorance. Thank you, not just from me, but from every king and queen who will come after. Your duty is complete, but your legacy will last forever." With deepest gratitude, George R. James read the letter 3 times. Then he folded it carefully, placed it in a drawer. He walked outside. The sun was shining. Birds were singing. James smiled. For the first time in years, he smiled. The secret was over. The duty was complete. And James Whitmore was finally free. He thought about calling Emma, apologizing, explaining, but he knew it was too late for that. Some doors, once closed, stayed closed. But maybe that was okay. Maybe some sacrifices couldn't be undone. Maybe some prices had to be paid. He'd given 12 years of his life to protect his secret, to guard a truth, to serve a duty greater than himself, and he'd do it again, in a heartbeat, because that's what it meant to be a keeper, a guardian, a servant of something bigger than one man's happiness. James walked down the street. Just another man. Just another day. But inside, he knew the truth. He had been part of history. He had carried the weight of a queen's final wish, and he had delivered it safely into the hands of a future king. That was enough. That was everything. And as the sun climbed higher in the sky, James Whitmore walked forward into the rest of his life. Free, proud, complete. The secret duty was over, but the honor would last forever.